What's up, educators? Welcome back to another edition of Teaching Thursday. The past few weeks, I've been kind of touching on my Bloom structure and how you structure lessons according to Bloom taxonomy with multiple different concepts. But today, what I'm going to do is, I guess most teachers have to teach this way using guided reading and that particular structure. So today, I'm going to show you a way in which you can use guided reading, but I'm calling it targeted guided reading. It's a structure I started to use toward the second half of last year with my second graders. And I wanted to share just that model of how it works. Now, it didn't always go perfect, but at the same time, it's a model I think can supplement not only guided reading, but kind of supplement for RTI as well. So here goes. First thing I want to show is the book that I'm using. I use was Joey Stop Sign. In Joey Stop Sign, not just in Joey Stop Sign, excuse me. Joey Stop Sign is by Raz Kids. I like using this particular resource. I think it's an excellent resource. It's short, to the point. You can do it in one day or you can do it the whole week, depending on how you want to do it. All right, so let's get to it now. This is the routine, and I'll explain as I go along why I use this routine. All right, so I don't know why this is here. All right, so for my word power routine, I use vocabulary trailers. So I thought I would incorporate that with my routine for targeted guided reading. So here though, research says that if you do intentional and incidental teaching of vocabulary, kids get it more. So normally before I do the vocab trailers, I would go through the vocabulary from the book, and then I would do the vocabulary trailers. So you see here, city council agenda, that's in this particular book, Joey Stop Sign, in this picture. So I would use that same structure, and the kids would have to use it in a sentence. So that shows they attain that vocabulary. Then here you have discuss, the word discuss, and the kids have to use it in this picture. This reminds me of. And then only had one more, the word was majority, and the kids would have to use it in a sentence. And you show they acquire that vocabulary, so they already know what it is before they read the book. So that is just day one. Day two is first, it's fluency. But before I even do that, you embed a bit of that phonics or that phonological awareness or phonemic awareness. I teach the kids how to sound out words. So I'll pick the words that I think they need to learn how to sound out, whether they're multisyllabic or we're doing some form of one-set rhyme. I will sound out those words with those kids before we even read. And then I will give them a strategy. One book I like to use for some of these type of things is the Reading Strategies book by Jennifer Saravallo. It was very good. It's clear, it's quick, follows a bit of the workshop model, but at the same time, a lot of the methods are very, very sound. So I like to use a lot of those when I do my fluency. And it's called Make the Bumpy Smooth. So it's basically teaching the kids how to read smoothly without stumbling and to go back and reread. And I will get to the point of how you assess that and if the kids mastered that skill. Then you go to day three, which is comprehension. And you see here, you're teaching them the elements of plot. So you're just going through giving them those think alouds and what to think about as they read the story. So you start here. First, it's going to be the setting. And then I'm going to show you that in a minute. What is the problem in the story? What do they want to do to solve the problem, which is kind of going with the main events. And then throw an inference in there just to kind of give the kids a bit of a heat check. Do you think they will get a stop sign for the street? And what was the solution to the problem? Also, I have to go back here a bit. Also, so I didn't ask many of the questions like making predictions because they've already read the book from a fluency standpoint. So they've already read the book. So it's certain questions that you don't ask, but at the same time, this will build their comprehension because this is their second time reading the book. And again, the books are fairly short, so you can do this in a 20-minute cycle. And then you move on after you do. I have evaluate and synthesize questions. These are just heat checks and just kind of getting the kids, giving them those questions to them so they can start critically thinking about what they're reading. And then you move on to the assessment. It's pretty simple. Kids A to Z or RAS kids, they have quizzes the kids can take. Sometimes they're 5 questions, most times they're 5 questions, or it can be 10, and then the kids will take those assessments. And that's how you assess if they got the concept or they have a varying of skills, so you can just see which skills they struggle with and which ones they don't. All right, so I will show you kind of what it would look like going through the book. So you have Joey Stop Sign. So if they hadn't previously read the book, this is where you would ask them to make a prediction. So our RAS Kids allows you to kind of already have the questions in there so the kids can see it. So I might ask, what is the setting location of the story? And you even can put below the kids' names and check it off as you go along. But I always kind of like do it on my own, kids visually seeing that ain't always the best thing. So what is the setting location of the story? Okay, so you give them maybe a minute to write it down or think about the answer, and then you let them answer. And even in the midst of this, I read some and they read some. Like with guided reading, I've never been a big fan of the teacher reading it the whole time. I like the kids to read a little bit, so it's a bit more interactive so they can be more engaged. So you see here, once the problem happens, I ask the kids, what is the problem in the story? Now, the problem isn't always 100% laid out. Sometimes they got to kind of infer a little bit. They got to think about how the story's progressed so far. So with this story, the problem is that the street has too much traffic and needs a stop sign. So kids might have a little trouble there. They might say, oh, too many people running over the balls, too many cars, but they might not have the vocabulary to say traffic. So this one was a little tricky, but for the most part, they're in the kind of the same ballpark. You know, they get the idea of what the problem is. All right, so then you want kids to start thinking, okay, if this is the problem, how are they solving it? So you see here, what they want to do to solve the problem. So they're talking to their parents about getting a petition. So that's one of the ways in which they're solving the problem. Traditionally, there are 2 or 3 things they do, but I kind of just stuck to one. I wanted to just be succinct, 5 questions. So keep on reading as the story progresses. This would be kind of like the rising action, so to speak. And then I get to a point where I ask the inference. I ask the kids, do you think they will get the stop sign for the street? And then, although some of my kids already read it, I asked them that, and they were like, yeah, because they got all those petitions, they did this and they did that. And then they might say, oh, the kids, they look very interested in them being in their presentation. So it's little things like that. You kind of can see if the kids are noticing things. All right, then you ask them what is the solution to the problem, and many of the kids just say, yeah, the city council voted yes. So noticing those details. All right, so at the end of the book, I asked the kids to kind of synthesize or evaluate and synthesize, like, do you agree with the kids trying to get the stop sign? So you get to give them, have an opinion. They're like, yes, I like, because they definitely need to make the street safer. No, they should have left it alone. It ain't got to be super long-winded, but just giving them time to really just start thinking critically about the story. And then synthesize, you ask them, how would you have solved the problem? Some might say, I agree with the way they went about it. And some might have been like, hey, I would have asked a parent or something like that. So you want to see what their overall, not necessarily cognition, but how they think about things and how they would do it. All right, I know teachers, the critical thing, you have RTI, you have these things, so you have to note what you did this week. So it's easy to do this with this. So I had a template that I came up with. So as you see here, I marked out the kids' names, but you have the reading level, I have an L, instructional focuses, vocabulary, strategies, vocab trailers, and then I have the keywords in the resource. Lesson success, you can have this for like each student. I only work with 3 students. Mastery, mastery, no mastery. And then you can put notes yourself. All right, make the bumpy smooth. So what I did was I gave them a strategy of making the bumpy smooth. Then I would mark if they actually did that each time they read a page. So I would kind of rotate pages, and every time they read a page, I would kind of note if they use that skill. Did they go and reread? Were they able to do that? If they weren't, I just marked the X. Day 3, of course, with the think alouds, I would ask those questions. And then if they were able to answer, I would go check yes or check no. And so most of the kids did have mastery. So most of the kids did have mastery. And then you have assessment at the end. And that's how you kind of can know if the lesson was a success. So I hope y'all enjoyed that. And if you have any questions about lesson, how you teach the lesson, anything like that, just hit me up on you can hit me up on my YouTube, you can hit me up on my Facebook. And guys, please, I really appreciate it. Hit that like, subscribe, share with somebody who needs a little help with their lesson planning. I just want to thank y'all again for watching and give me any feedback that you may have.